Alright, so basically what happened was I recorded the video on my computer, and once again, when I uploaded it to YouTube, there was no sound. So what I'm doing now is recording it with my phone, and hopefully, well, I just tried it and it did have sound when I put it up, so that worked. This is obviously for the response to the YouTube video, an anthropological introduction to YouTube. Um, Anyway, the quotes that I chose, I actually wrote them down. I have them here. One of the first quotes that I wanted to talk about was, "You aren't going to turn passive consumers into active trollers on the internet." And that was Stephen Weiswasser, ABC. Um, and obviously he was wrong, because YouTube went nuts. And everybody had a blast with YouTube. So obviously I disagree with that, and the original video was like 10 minutes long. This one's going to be faster because I don't have time like I did before. Some stuff that they talked about was the 1.5 million hours would have taken 60 years for ABC to do over the last 60 years or whatever, and YouTube does it in about 6 months. There's that many hours, 9,232 hours per day. That was astounding. Definitely something that's crazy to think about, that we have that many people putting up videos on YouTube all the time. But I guess if you have the whole world, it works out. And it was also interesting that 88% of the content was new and original, which I thought was intriguing for the most part. Some other stuff that they talked about that I thought was interesting was that, well, for one, the video single-handedly justifies the existence of webcams, which, it's true because of all the stuff that we have going on now with Skype and YouTube and Facebook videos and MySpace videos, music videos. Having a webcam, they're on all the computers now, and there's one on my iPhone, which is crazy to think about. I'm sure they'll have one on the iPad soon enough, and on all the other systems that they have going on. So it's probably going to be the next big thing. Or I guess not the next big thing, but you're going to see it just everywhere in the next couple years. So that's pretty cool. Something else I thought was interesting was young adults have the highest number of videos, and those young adults are actually aged 24 to 32, I think, which I thought was really interesting because I figured the teenagers would have the most videos up because they have the most time. It seems like they'd be the ones that would be putting up the most random stuff, but I guess obviously not. So that was something that I thought was really interesting. I keep saying every time I move on, and I hate that. I just caught myself again. So it deals with talking to an unknown individual. Me right now talking to no one. Anybody walking through that door is going to be wondering, why in the world is the guy in the room just talking to himself? Is there anybody in there? I don't hear any other voices. So that's an interesting thing in and of itself. Everyone is watching and no one is there. Also an interesting concept because it's true. You guys, whoever watches this video, Professor, if you're watching it, you guys are all watching this, but when I'm doing it, nobody's on the other side. I'm talking to my phone, really. Originally it was my camera on my computer, but now I'm talking to my phone. So I think that's pretty interesting that it draws out self-awareness, as they were talking about, and kind of brings you into being aware of yourself and your presentability on the camera and what's going to be in the background and stuff. I got frisbees, and, well, I had used the projector originally for part of the previous video, and I'll discuss that in a second. But, yeah, so that's kind of something that I thought was really interesting. Also, anonymity and physical distance and rare and ephemeral dialogue create hatred as public performance, which is obviously visually true, as you see on the YouTube video that he puts up. People are commenting in all sorts of ways: negative, positive, cuss words, any sort of profanities, derogatory remarks, demeaning remarks, these kinds of things. Things that you typically wouldn't say to someone in person, which is interesting. At least over something so simple as a Facebook video, or a YouTube video, rather. It just doesn't seem like that'd be something that you would actively be talking to people about. So that was something interesting. Also, they talk about the deep, profound experience because you can stare at me, my eyes right here. You can just look at my eyes, or you can look at my face or my shirt or the background. You know, and you don't have to be uncomfortable because you know I'm not looking back at you. I am not aware of what you guys are doing on the other side. You could be doing anything. So that's pretty interesting concept, that there is kind of that distance, again, from the other people on the other side of the screen. There's also these whole ideas of authenticity, like the Lonely Girl 511 or 115, where those three guys kind of produced that whole show. You know, is that authentic or not? I mean, obviously she's presenting something, so perhaps it is some sort of there is some authenticity there because the girl is acting, so you see there's something there. But you know, that's I guess that'll be one of my two questions: is YouTube authentic? Even though we have characters and people playing different roles, is that not in some ways the authentic person that they are, that they desire to do those sorts of things? So that's something. Another question I would ask, my second one would be, is YouTube a community? You know, is it really a good functioning community? Should that be something that can stand in for the reality of going out and hanging out with your friends? You know, I don't think it should stand in, but I still think it is somehow a functioning community. I'm not quite sure how it fits, really, personally. I mean, I got to kind of think through that more, but it is an interesting thought. Okay, bringing it home. Alright, the two things for bringing it home, I guess the first one is going to be that I myself have put tons of YouTube videos up. I'm looking at a bunch of them right now, from like Africa and trips we drove across the U.S. last year and stuff like that. So obviously there's things in YouTube. You know, I did it pretty much very, very often. Like when we went across the U.S., people could follow what was going on. Some, friends back here could see what we were doing and where we were going and stuff like that. So I think it plays a good role there. As far as keeping up with people, the videos, it's a lot better than, I guess, an email, I feel like, 'cause you can see the person. But we'll judge that based on, as opposed to me writing all this down. Obviously, you've spent 7 minutes watching this. I don't know how long you'd take to read it. So, that's something else. You can't just skim this video and look for the bits and pieces for the most part. You're going to have to watch it. So I hope you guys don't hate me for that. I don't know. And the second bringing it home, which I used earlier, was the screen. My friends and I will come in here and hang out like we did like 2 days ago, I think. We came in and just watched some comedians on here just as like a hangout time. And it was fun, something to do. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's just a hangout. So, YouTube obviously also gives you things to do socially. Like, I mean, we've done it a couple times now where we're just sitting here and we're like, hey, let's watch some comedians on YouTube or America's AFV's on there. So if you want to go watch some stuff, it's just fun. And I think that's an aspect of YouTube. It gives you something to talk about, like those two guys that we watched, the Bed Intruder, and then Numa was on that video. It gives you something as a community. You can be like, hey, did you see this thing on YouTube? Something to talk about, social interaction. So there are definitely bonuses to it, and I guess that's where I'm going to end the video now. I don't know how you could make this shorter. I feel like I've been talking at 1,000,000 miles a second. And I got 4 quotes in, and 2 questions, and 2 bringing it homes. So that's about it. This is the second time I've done this video. It is kind of weird to be looking at the camera and not at you guys. I hope this is something that's decent. I guess I could change the view for you guys a little bit. That might be trippy. That might not be something fun. But anyway, peace out. You guys have an awesome day. And I'm going to go work on my next homework assignment. So, fun stuff.